there, guys and gals, welcome back to Back Pocket Game Reviews. And today we are briefly going to talk about, well, where my mental health has been for the last couple of weeks. We're going to talk about some heavy shit here. So actually, you don't even need to buckle up. It's so heavy you wouldn't move from the car if it crashed. So, those of you who follow me on Twitter kind of already know about this. I tried to kind of just keep it to myself and bottle it up, which is usually what I like to attempt to do with my emotions. Unfortunately, sometimes that stuff comes spilling over. Sometimes you just need to talk, sometimes you just need to vent, and it was kind of a combination of a lot of things happening at one time. So let's break down the multi-parts to what caused it and how I felt and why. So obviously YouTube recently changed their algorithm. They changed the way that they record views. So your views are going to show as lower because certain things that used to register as a view no longer register as a view. They base a lot of your recommendability off of interactions, so likes, shares, subscribes, dinging the bell, comments, all that stuff counts as interaction on that video. Now, as some of you have noticed, my stuff has gone down, and it's been steadily going down, and a lot of the reason is, well, I took a week off. Probably remember that about a month or two ago, and ever since that happened, everything's just been steadily chugging downhill. Now, that's really like the first full week I've taken off of YouTube since I've started my channel. That's pretty good. 3 years, I've taken 1 week off, like one full 7-day period off. I'm pretty satisfied with that. However, it does kind of weigh on you, and a lot of people don't always take that into account, is what all your head ends up going through while doing that, and sometimes those numbers get in your head. Like, did you know I broke 38,000 subscribers? Did you now know we've lost over 200 subscribers? We're falling backwards. And this has happened to me before. The last 2 times I just seemingly handled it better. And yeah, that kind of put me a bit in a rut. I feel like I am failing sometimes. And maybe it's just that I need to make content about whatever the hell I want. Maybe I just should talk about whatever I want. If I want to talk about firearms, if I want to talk about what I think's wrong with today's society and culture, maybe I just need to do that. And kind of treat these videos like a therapy session. Give you guys more of a deeper look into my mind, and maybe one of you out there who happens to possibly be a therapist can go, hey dude, you're insane and losing it. Possibly. Now, number 2 was I've had a lot of stress at work, and it didn't help because my boss decided to take a little over a week off, and we have all new managers other than me. So I'm the only manager who has been there for a very long time in a management position. Everyone else is either new to their position or new to management in general. So you can imagine a little over a week off, and we have a brand new district manager. There was a lot that fell onto my shoulders during that time period. I was relatively stressed out the last couple weeks, like insanely stressed out. I felt like I was failing at work. I felt like I wasn't succeeding and trying to achieve the goals that I wanted with the results that I wanted. I felt like everyone else's job was falling onto me, and to some degree it kind of was. Yeah, so that was pretty hard. That was a bit overwhelming. Then the unfortunate side to this is I wound up taking a lot of this out on my wife. I wouldn't really say I took it out on her. It's just unfortunately she was the crutch. She was the only person to talk to, and I kind of felt like at the time that she was something I was failing as well, and that she was just going to wind up pushing me away and we'd wind up splitting up. That's not usually how I ever feel in my marriage. My wife is kind of like the one person that usually holds me together pretty well. And I have the upsided benefit that she's someone who has dealt with depression for a while, so she kind of understood where I was despite how shitty of an individual I was to be around during that time. And as the husband, it is my goal to be there for her and to be the rock for her. Thankfully, I don't usually have tremendous breakdowns like this, so she did a lot for me during that, and I cannot thank her enough for everything she does. Now, I'm also someone who kind of tends to... It's not where I want to go with this yet. I still kind of want to apologize to my wife on this. I threw accusations at her I really shouldn't have thrown. That were just my own insecurities and my own shortcomings kind of coming forward. But on the upside, it also did kind of make me realize sometimes maybe I don't give my wife the respect that she necessarily deserves. I'm not saying I disrespect my wife. I'm just saying there are times where maybe now when I look at this, I can easily look at it and say, I need to treat her better. So that came out of this. I guess that's an upside, right? Yay! I am someone who does tend to deal with seasonal depression. Usually I am not in the greatest of moods during changes of season, specifically when we're in cold seasons. So that also could have been playing a part into this. There's just so many different things. And I'm not saying that I'm always someone who is in like picturesque mindset, because I'm not. There are a lot of times where I'll be driving in the car, and a lot of times I drive with no music on just to kind of clear my head and get some thoughts in there. But every now and then those thoughts will take dark turns. Specifically, so one thing I don't think a lot of people take into account, I've supported my wife and my 2 kids as single income for a very, very long time. That is a lot of stress. If I fail my family. I don't just fail myself, I fail everyone else around me. And some people might look at that and go, oh, well, why doesn't your wife get a job? Because that's honestly not what I want. I want my wife to be the one rearing my kids. If she did get a job, then we're just seeing each other less and spending more on childcare, and then I don't know who is raising my children. The fact that we've been able to give our kids what we have is something I couldn't be happier about. And it's hard to really explain like how all this gets into your head and all these thoughts start, because I'm not someone who's trying to sit here and tell you, oh, I have some terrible life. That's not where I'm going with this. I have a beautiful wife, 2 beautiful kids. We own a home. We have a new car. I literally have my American dream. I have everything I could ever want. It's just, unfortunately, I don't know how these... and it could be the fact that I bottle them up. Maybe it's the fact that I let all this build up until it just pops off like a Mentos in a pop bottle. Because I felt like I was bubbling over. I felt like I was losing it. We got to a point for at least a week, maybe a little over. I wasn't carrying a firearm, something I constantly usually do. I almost always have a concealed carry somewhere on my person. I didn't feel comfortable with that. There were a few times driving home from work, I thought about, you could just drive into oncoming traffic. And that's terrible. That's not something you should ever be able to say and have it seem like it's okay, because it's not. None of that's okay. Thankfully, again, wife let me bend her ear. She is a free therapist for me, because I probably couldn't afford a real one. I hear they're very expensive. So, and I'm the type of person who understands what's wrong in my head. Like, I get it. I understand this is my stress, this is my anxiety, it's bottling up. And I honestly probably more or less did it to myself with the allowing it to just spew over. But I was an emotional wreck. There are days right now, I still like, we're talking like yesterday and maybe the day before I started to feel better. I'm hoping it's done. I'm hoping this is not something that comes back up. I don't know. It's been really tough. It's been one of those things that I never thought I would have to deal with something like this, because I'm always mind over matter. Everything is mind over matter. If you stay in a positive mindset, everything will stay positive. And stuff wasn't staying in a positive mindset, all right? the first warning sign was when I went back down the political spiral on Twitter. When you saw me commenting in political discussions on Twitter, that was the first warning flag. Oh yeah, that was a flare being shot up. We just red flag right there. Oh, it was a downhill slide. And I'm not saying that was the case. It's just obviously my mind wasn't in the positive mindset that I wanted to be in. I'm not saying politics have to be negative, but unfortunately in today's political climate, and with the way people are online and not being able to understand that different people have different points of view, but if you want to publicly state your view, you also have to let your view publicly be criticized and responded to. That is how the world works. However, people seem to not be able to keep that into a polite and or appropriate manner, and it just turns into a crap storm, just an absolute crap storm. But I honestly haven't been in that dark of a place, at least since probably high school. No, there's one other time. There was one other time I was in a pretty dark spot. But that was probably one of the worst. And everyone who unfortunately had to suffer from it wasn't really a cause to it, wasn't really someone who actually had an impact on how I was feeling. Again, thankfully I was lucky to have the people around me to talk about it, specifically, as I said, my wife. And it is really hard to be in that kind of a state of depression to where you're not really sure if you want to wake up the next day and still be able to look. Like there were times I was having those thoughts and my kids might be sitting right next to me, and don't get me wrong, I would never act on those thoughts. Like there is nothing in this world that would get me to do that, because if I did, it's not me that suffers. I'm not the one who is I have no issue there. I just literally ruined my entire family's life. And I would never do that to them. So it's so hard to explain all this without sounding like you're completely insane, isn't it? But that is where my mind was at. I was so wrapped up in just negative thoughts. My self-esteem was completely in the trash. And so many different things were playing into it at one time. And it was like, you ever seen the movie A Perfect Storm, where like things that came together should have never came together at the same time? That happened for me. Okay, that literally is what happened. And it sucks. It is absolutely one of the worst things I've had to deal with in my life. But here we are. And I feel, I won't say 100% better, because there's still some stuff. But I'm probably say like 85% better now. I don't feel like I'm gonna turn into it. I mean, who knows? One thing could shove that right off the edge of that cliff. No one truly knows. I don't truly know. Only God actually knows, really, at this point. But it is weird to have it happen to you and not be able to see it coming. And it's really hard. I mean, I made a comment the other day on Twitter where it said, if you feel like you're drowning, learn to hold your breath. I constantly feel like I'm drowning while this was going on. I don't so much feel like it now. As I said, there's still some stuff left in my head, but I felt like water was just constantly holding me down. And not like that good kind of like pressure. Like there's pressure that feels nice, like having something pushing down on you because of anxiety. Like that is helpful. And I've been trying to take steps to calm my anxiety a little bit. I don't check my phone nearly as often as I used to, and a lot of that has to do with constant notifications. That reward gratification, constantly seeing and being on your phone, kind of disconnects you from the world around you. And I'm trying to fix that. That has been something I've been working on. Still been responding to my comments. I've just been more mindful about how often and when I do it. There's time and a place, and sometimes you just need that time to yourself to be broken away and to be able to have a clear head. But I hope I didn't scare any of you by talking as openly about this as I have. But a lot of it's, I should be open with you about this. Because there might be someone out there who feels the same way and just isn't vocalizing it and maybe is getting to that bubbling over point. Reach out and speak to someone. It's important that you do. I will tell you this, the greatest fear I had while going through this was pushing my wife away, because I was reading about a lot of the symptoms of depression and things that you go on, and you will purposely sabotage certain friendships and relationships because you don't feel like you're worth it and other things. And I was worried I was doing that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't feel like I was like, oh, let me sabotage my marriage. That wasn't where that was at in my head. But you don't know what subconsciously is going on to some degree. Oh Lord, I was listening to a lot of Linkin Park on my drives home. That probably isn't really too shocking. That's poor Chester. I don't know how much I should. I don't feel like I've said everything, but I feel like I don't know what else to say about it. I don't know if that makes sense. It sucked. It really sucked. I would love to say I will never feel like that again, but I don't know. I didn't think it was going to happen when it happened. It was pretty miserable. I know this has pretty much just been me rambling, but I've been telling you where my head was. And this is important for people to be able to hear it. So, guys, if you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments down below. I'll gladly try to answer any that I can that aren't at least where I feel crossing a line. If you need help, there are plenty of options for you to seek, plenty of options for you to take. I recommend really reaching out to someone you're really close with, though, because that's probably who's going to be willing to help you the most, truly. But I'm also not a professional, so don't listen necessarily to what I say on that. Just heads up, I am not a medical professional by any means. I'm barely a YouTube professional, and if we are saying I am, we're using the word professional lightly. So, guys, if I would say like the video, but that almost seems sick and disgusting, doesn't it? If you're new here, click the subscribe button. Also, my wife did start streaming on Facebook. If you'd like to find her Facebook page, it is in the descriptions down below. In the description box, it is linked in there. She really appreciates people stopping by and saying hi. She streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She doesn't really have like time slots 100% set up. She kind of usually just makes a post and then streams. So, but you all stay classy out there, San Diego, and I'll have plenty more content coming for you that's not quite as depressing as what this is. So, thanks for watching.